Hey everyone, this is Russ from Best Available Player, and thank you for tuning in to episode 2 here of What If DeAndre Hopkins Never Left the Houston Texans. Alright, so we're heading into a new season. The year is 2021. Houston Texans' new head coach Eric Bieniemy has an 81 overall team with an 83 offense and 79 defense. I'm going to start this episode just by quickly reminding you of our small off-season additions to our team here. Keep in mind for this offseason, since we didn't trade away any of the players that the Texans really did trade away, we did not have a lot of draft picks. Our earliest draft pick was in the 3rd round, I believe, and we did not have a lot of cap heading into the offseason. So we made minor adjustments here. I drafted a backup quarterback. I drafted a new young running back. Our receivers stayed the same. A position I really wanted to upgrade was tight end, and unfortunately, nobody in free agency agreed to a contract, and we just got to such late rounds that it didn't make sense to draft a tight end here. Over on our defense, we picked up Rankins here in free agency, and we drafted another backup. A major draft pickup for us was Hamilcar Rashed Jr., who is a 70 hidden dev, and we needed an upgrade here at the linebacker position. We picked up a few folks. All in all, not a lot of major changes or adjustments. This is what we're working with heading into our 2nd year in this simulation, but our 1st year with new head coach Eric Bieniemy. Let's just sim to the midseason and see how the Texans are holding up. Okay, so at the midway point, the Texans are 2-5. Not very good, but it looks like the division could still be anybody's. Deshaun looks pretty decent here, but let's see how D-Hop's doing. Okay, looks like he's leading the team in touchdown receptions, and he's just a yard behind Fuller. Okay, so it looks like we have 3 division losses already, which is not ideal. Last win here was our last game against the 49ers. And Deshaun had an okay game, under 200 passing yards and 1 interception. D-Hop with 1 big catch that ended up scoring us a touchdown. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going and pick up some more wins along the way here. We don't have anybody injured, which is good. I might start Rashed over Merciless. Get him a couple more snaps so we can see what his development is. Okay, we got some big names here to re-sign. First and foremost, JJ. We want to keep him for sure. And we don't have any cap, like at all. Looks like the 2 people taking up the most cap space right now are JJ Watt and Brandon Cooks. Whitney Merciless is really expensive. I think before we start re-signing folks, we'll wait until the end of the season. It's not preferable because we only have 1 shot rather than a couple to re-sign some folks. But we'll wait till the end of the season, see how the cap shakes out, and that's when we can start cutting folks we don't think we need anymore. But for now, we'll work with what we have, and we'll see if the Texans can win some more games here. Okay, so we won 4 more games, but we finished last in the division, which isn't fun. Deshaun didn't look like he had a super great year. Duke Johnson had a lot of rushing touchdowns. And I guess Brandon Cooks being highlighted. Just not a lot of passing touchdowns here for Deshaun Watson. That's a little concerning. Kenneth Gainwell, pretty good rookie season here. Wish we could have gotten him the ball more. But receiving, D-Hop finishing in 3rd place for receiving yards. Tied for 1st in receiving touchdowns. Hopefully he doesn't begin to regress. Not a lot of help from our tight ends here, which we knew would happen, but he's got 3 really solid receivers to throw to here. So I figured that might not have been too big of an issue, but it looks like it's going to definitely be an emphasis heading into the offseason, finding a solid tight end. Checking through the yearly awards here, the only Texan to make any list here is J.J. Watt, and he was awarded the best defensive lineman. Definitely someone we want to re-sign. He's a staple for this franchise, but he might be a little too expensive. We might have to rebuild that whole defensive line. Looks like the Packers topped the Bengals in Super Bowl 56, and we can see what our cap looks like now. Oh, it's even worse than before. Negative 13.6. I mean, who do we really want? We don't want Fulton. We don't want Fells. He can walk. He can walk. He can walk. He can walk. I'll let Duke Johnson walk. We don't need a fourth high overall receiver. I think we spent too much money on Will Fuller. But, you know, Justin Reed and JJ are two solid players. Can't even franchise tag JJ now because I didn't negotiate a contract, which is a really dumb feature here in Madden. If I withdraw it, let's test it out on Kiki here. I'll withdraw his offer, and no, I can't even then see if he wants to franchise tag. Here in 2022, the Texans have all of their draft picks, which is good. And we're picking at 9th overall, which is also good. But we got to start cutting some folks who are just far too expensive. Looks like the two most expensive players as of right now are JJ and DeAndre Hopkins. But we want to keep these two guys. That's the whole reason why we're doing this series. Don't want to get rid of Laramie Tunsil because even though he is really expensive, he's a solid player for us. I might be willing to walk away from Brandon Cooks. I am definitely willing to walk away from the 67 overall Whitney Merciless. Let's go ahead and do that now. And this sucks because he's star development, but he's also a staple for this franchise. We appreciate everything he's done for the Texans, but see you later, alligator. Yep, we're gonna eat $3 million, but we're saving 7.5. I think that's worth it. Bradley Robbie is still in the 80s. Keep him around. Randall Cobb, 32. He had an okay season for us last year, but he's expensive. I think we gotta cut him. Let's see what else here. I mean, Duke Johnson we know we don't want. I don't know if this is going to help us in the offseason because his contract is up, but... Okay, here's another thing Madden will do that you should keep track of in the offseason is if you have the fill roster option on your team, they'll sign a lot of players, which is good for depth, but if you look at how expensive these backup running backs are, this guy's $1 million, this guy is nearly $1 million, and their overalls are not great. So I'm just trying to free up as much cap as we can. I'm just going to get rid of these fellas. Because I know that they're not even going to be sticking around on the final roster anyway. Still thinking about Cooks. Still thinking about it. Okay, this fella is our third string defensive tackle in a 3-4 defense. And he's costing us nearly $4 million. And the penalty is only $500K. I think that's a contract we can walk away from. Okay, we have some really expensive, strong safeties. I think I'd rather get rid of the most expensive one. 71 overall normal dev. Okay, so we made some cuts. We'll see what our cap kind of looks like now. Okay, this is interesting. So that now we're able to franchise tag Kiki Kuti. I'm going to withdraw my offer from JJ because I still, even though we have a lot of cap, I can't give him the contract that he wants. So I'll withdraw. I'll go out and I guess I'll mess around and do something. Maybe I do want to get rid of Brandon Cooks so I can afford him. Because we'll still have Will Fuller. And then maybe we can just draft somebody. I don't know. I'm going to cut these guys at the very least. I don't need these guys. Okay. Franchise tagging JJ is the way to go. 1 year for 20. I think it's worth it. And then how much money do we have left for Justin Reed? Not enough. Okay, I'm willing to let him fall to free agency, and I'll see then in the new year if we have money to take him back, and if not to diminish just Justin Reed's productivity on the field, but we can get a really solid full safety in the draft. So I'm not too worried about it. We'll let him walk. We'll head into the first week of the offseason for Agency 1 up there and see what's what. Okay, so this says we have almost negative $2 million cap. Okay, if we had all the money in the world, we for sure would team up the Watt brothers. Are you kidding? Okay, I think what will make me feel better about getting rid of Brandon Cooks is if instead of cutting him, I trade him, because then we get something in return. In the Bears one, a lot of teams here want, I'm pretty sure everyone wants him. Who wouldn't? He's an 88 overall star player. So we made this trade with the Jaguars, and I think we really lucked out here. We're freeing up $13 million cap space, and we found our new tight end in star dev Brevin Jordan, and we really needed a right guard, and they were able to give that to us for pretty cheap. So I think this is solid. I wanted to go for draft picks, but no one was really dealing. I figured, you know what, we might as well fill up some positions that we need that I know we couldn't get in the draft, and here we are. So I'm happy with this. Now we've got some cap room, able to mess around here. Let's see. I don't know if we're going to be able to sneak a deal in here. Yeah, no, we're not going to be able to make a deal with Justin Reed, which is okay. Okay, so in free agency, we weren't able to make any deals with anybody. Tried lowballing a few folks to fit into our cap, and they just weren't going for it. They ended up not signing with anybody. Can't imagine rather sitting out a whole year than getting a job somewhere. But that's what happened, and here is what we did in the draft, and I gotta say, I'm really disappointed with this draft. We picked players that we needed. It's just, so, I mean, here, just take a look at this. Owen Popo, 9th overall pick, right outside linebacker. He's 75 overall, which is awesome, but he's normal dev. You know, you'd think picking a player in the top 10, he'd be at least star, but Owen turned out to be normal dev. But, that doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player. So we're going to need him to start right away. We found a replacement full safety potentially in Marcus Hooker in the second round. He's 74 overall, but unfortunately also just normal dev. In the third round, how could I pass up backup running back Trey Saunders here? 69 overall, you guessed it, normal dev. And if you don't get the theme here, all of these folks are also normal dev. And I did have a 6th and 7th round pick, but, you know, this is a team with not too much cap room. I got the depth that we needed here at wideout, tight end, and strong safety. I figured let's just trade those away and get something in return. So we do have some future picks waiting for us next draft. Okay, Anthony Miller was a player I tried to get in free agency. He didn't want to go for it, but here he is, a free agent, and looks like we can get him for a 1-year deal. And we signed him, which is awesome. What I'm really surprised about is seeing Sony Michel here, who's an 83, I think he's star dev? He is. Not only can we not afford him, I just don't think he'd be a strong fit for us. Maybe if we're passing the ball a lot. I don't know. I mean, who else could we get here? Rashad Penny. I mean, Leonard Fournette. Gurley. Le'Veon. I mean, this is crazy. The league is seeing an overabundance of talent at the running back position. I think we're okay for now. Okay, here's a look at the Texans heading into 2022. 81 overall, 84 offense, 79 defense. Here is our offense, and I did end up signing a running back in free agency. We went with receiving back James White. I thought he'd be a great tandem to go along with Deshaun Watson. He's got the speed, he's got the star development, and Gainwell and Sanders will be right behind him in the pack. D-Hop is still 99 overall X Factor, which is good, and there's our free agency pickup third string, taking the place of Brandon Cooks, well, I guess Will Fuller is technically. Here's our pickup in the offseason, Brevin Jordan, 72 overall star dev, as well as Can here at right guard. Defensive side of the ball, our franchise tagged J.J. Watt, corner tandem in Conley and Robbie. Rankins is now, was he star dev last year? I can't remember. Well, he's star dev, 79 overall. He's definitely regressing, but he should still be pretty good for us. Hamilcar Rashed Jr. ended up being star dev. He's our starting left outside linebacker. While the 9th overall selection, Popo here, 75 overall normal dev. On the other side, middle linebackers are still doing their thing. Lonnie Johnson Jr. starting strong safety, and rookie hooker here, 74 overall normal dev, starting. I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check in for a new episode next week, and we'll see how this new team that we've constructed stacks up against the rest of the competition within the league. If you have a suggestion for an NifL scenario or series, please leave a comment down below. Make sure to go to bestavailableplayer.com for more cool content like this.